Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Spellweaver. My name is Boltor, and today I wanted to do something a little different, something haven't done before. A lot of, and I mean a lot, of comments that I've gotten about my channel, and I've gotten people asking me this and that, is, what's your deck building process? Let's see how you build a deck. So I actually wanted to sit down and build a deck for you guys, just so I could show you my process, even though I don't usually build the decks myself all that often. I'm primarily a net decker, and there's nothing wrong with net decking. In my years of playing card games, I've known players, very good players, who absolutely suck at deck building, but you hand them pretty much any deck and they're just like, oh cool, and they go off and play the first time ever playing the deck, some of the cards they've probably never even played before, but boom, they win the tournament. I've known players who can do that. They can't build a deck to save their life, but they're some of the best technical players in that game, and they just win. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I don't have any problem with net decking, but net decking is probably my primary form of deck building. So I just wanted to build something for you guys that I played for a long time. It's something that I played back in closed beta. It was my primary deck for grinding games in closed beta. And you don't see it around too much because it's it's agreeably a rather weak deck, but at least competitively. But I really wanted to show you guys this deck, and I really wanted to show you how I went about building. Well, I can't say I really went around building it. It's something I worked with a couple friends, but it's a good example of kind of my deck building process. And I mean, it's nothing super original. I'm not going to show you guys a deck type that you've never seen before. But I just wanted to kind of sit down and show you guys, the deck building process I go through whenever I sit down to build one. And anyway, first things first, especially in Spellweaver, same with Hearthstone. Not so much when I played Magic or any of the other ones because you don't have to pick a hero. But first things first, you pick a hero. What do you want to play? What aspects do you want to play? And what kind of deck do you want to play? Because obviously, you want to play a control deck. You're looking at more like advanced or basic Darius or advanced Despina. If you want an aggro deck, you're looking at Zash, you're looking at Burke. So obviously the hero helps dictate the deck. But I'm gonna build a control deck, the same control deck like I said that I played back in closed beta. And we're gonna start with Tempting Lure Despina. Everyone's favorite Dominion hero. So I want to make this a control deck, and I want it to be Dominion Corruption. So I sit there and I pick those. Now, first things first, I sit and I wonder, okay, what are my matchups? Obviously, mid-range, control, and aggro. So how do I beat aggro? Well, I beat aggro by outlasting them. How do I outlast them? I outlast them by, having early game removal, such as Plague Vermin. Probably only need about 2, especially since I can play instead 4 Noxious Fumes, and Noxious Fumes kills so much more than Plague Vermin does. So, yeah, I think that's so that's some of my anti-aggro stuff. What else do I have against anti-aggro? Well, you know what? Splitting Headache is a really good card, so let's put 2 of those in there, right? Splitting Headache is a card that's both good against control and aggro, because if the aggro deck is vomiting their hand on the board and you destroy their hand, you manage to wipe their board, then they're in top deck mode. Great, Also, well, we can get both of those. We can get some early game blockers and hand attack by playing 4 Mesmerizing Spirit. So we'll go ahead and play some Mesmerizing Spirits. Now what else? Ooh, you know what else is really good against aggro? Blood Witch Harpy. It's also a very good kind of mid-rangey card. Very effective. So, yeah. Alright, that's pretty good for taking out, or for taking on aggro decks, Oh, and of course for some, for more kind of anti-aggro, we'll play some Assassinates. Now, do I really need 4? No, I don't think I need 4 Assassinates. Do I really need 2? I think I'd play 1 more than 2, so... Oh, and Shadow Step Assassin. Now, Shadow Step Assassin is, good for... Come on. I just want to click the freaking card. Where'd it go? There it is. Come on. There we go. Anyway, not only good against against aggro because of her high speed and the fact that she has deadly, she'll definitely 1-for-1 with a creature, but also because of her deadly, she can kill off Karthos, she can kill off Antriel, she can do a lot. So we are actually going to play more of her than we are of Assassinate. Okay, so now we've got our stuff for anti-aggro that kind of bleeds into mid-range and anti-control. So, okay, now how do I beat control? Well, control and late-game decks, they like to hold on to their hands. So we've got the anti-hand stuff in here with Mesmerizing Spirit and the Splitting Headache, but let's throw in a couple of Mind Extortions, you know what I mean? And Mind Extortion is such a good card, especially when your opponent is focusing on a specific strategy. It really, turn one, it lets you know exactly what you're playing against, and it can really help take out that Cataclysm or that Word of Grace, you know what I mean? But let's see, how else? Oh, also for anti-aggro, we gotta throw in some Cataclysms. Definitely gotta have our Cataclysms. Can't have a control deck without Cataclysms, right? Ooh, next, also for big creatures. Come here. What the hell? This is such a weird bug. Anyway, Helm of Dominion. Why kill it when you can steal it, right? If they've got an Antriel on board, hey, let me take that and gain life instead of just killing it. But speaking of killing it, you've got to have the best control, probably the best card in the game, best control card in the game without a doubt. Lord Karthos. Okay. So we're going to be thinking probably like 22, 24 shrines, somewhere around there. So we're almost done. We have room for like 2 more cards. Now, what would we need? What would we need? Well, let's see. I want to fit in some Reanimates, because I think Reanimate is really good, especially with cards like Karthos and Mesmerizing Spirit and Blood Witch Harpy. So we need to find some room for some Reanimates, because I also want to put in... Oh, well, where was it? I also want to put in some... Where'd it go? And anyway, so we have room for 2 Reanimates. Now, is there anything else we really need? Now, we have our anti-control, we have our anti... Oh, I remember what I wanted to put in. We want to put in some Infernal Vultures. Why? Because, you know, it helps win the late game against control decks. You know, you're grinding it out. These guys can really help you win the game. But now, well, we've got room for 2. And I think 2 buzzards or vultures is just fine. Now, we've got room for 22 shrines in this deck. Yeah, I think 22 sounds about right. Now, what do we want to be doing with our shrines? Well, we don't really play a lot of level 1 creatures. I mean, we've got the Infernal Vultures, the Plague Vermins, and the Shadowstep Assassins, but we never really want them to stick around on the board. Right? So, I don't think we'll be playing Stronghold Metropolis. So, instead, let's play Cathedral of Night. We'll put 2 of those in the deck. We'll play Sanctum of the Void, because making your opponent sacrifice creatures is very good. So now we've got 18 card slots left, right? So I think, do we just go 9 and 9? Let's see. 1 level, 2 level. We have nothing in this deck that requires double corruption. We have stuff in here that requires double Dominion now. So instead of 9 and 9, let's go 9, 9, 18. Let's go 11 and 7. That sounds about right. Oops, wrong one. That's still the wrong one. So 7 corruption and 11 dominion. All right. So that's you know, that's dominion corruption control. Again, a rather lackluster deck nowadays because wisdom is so very strong. But I've been asked a lot about my deck building method and how I go about building decks and to play decks that I've built. Unfortunately, right now there's pretty much, I feel like everything's been played out. There's not really too much uniqueness, even with the new heroes. Though I will be spotlighting some new heroes here in the some of the new heroes in the future here. But I really wanted to just kind of show you guys. Now this is just kind of real quick. I built it. After playtesting and refining and experience with the deck, it got refined into this, which is pretty similar, but some of the number card values are off. Zyara, I haven't played this deck in quite some time, that's why it's on page 3, but Zyara was an experiment. I would probably cut her for vultures nowadays, and Infernal Tribute's in the deck, and which wasn't in the other deck. But what did I replace it with? I think I replaced it with more Shadowstep Assassins. Like I said, again, guys, this deck is good, but it's definitely not as strong as like where is it? It's definitely not as strong as like just plain Wisdom Dominion control, right? You know, with the silencers and the Force Mages and the Library Guards, you know, stuff like that. It's just, it doesn't hold up. But like I said, I wanted to show you guys what it looked like when I build a deck and just kind of go about my process. Now, clearly, like I said, this deck would need some tinkering. It would need some testing, some fine-tuning of the numbers. And I would do that. I would sit down and I would play with some friends. I would play some friendly games, and I'd be like, all right, so I mean, the original deck list called for 4 splitting headaches. And eventually I was like, well, I'm drawing these late game when my opponent already has no cards in hand. Why do I even need to play 4? So again, it got cut down. Mind Extortion was at 4. It got cut down. But so that's pretty much it, guys. Just kind of a recap of how I build decks. And again, deck building processes vary from person to person. Some people go about it in a much different way. But for me, kind of to summarize, I have a flow chart. All right, so I start with what kind of deck I want to play. Do I want to play control? Do I want to play aggro? Do I want to play mid-range? Okay, I pick one of those. Next step. Okay, how do I win, right? Against aggro? Do I try, if I'm playing an aggro deck, do I try and outrush the other aggro? If I'm playing a mid-range deck, do I try and survive the early aggression and then kind of win the mid-game? If I'm playing a control deck, do I try and kill all of their late game and just win by grinding the game out? What is my win condition? And I put that in as well. After that, I go, how do I win against aggro? How do I win against mid-range? How do I win against control? And that's when I go into, say, how do I win against aggro? Well, I play Plague Vermin. I play Noxious Fumes. How do I win against control? Well, I play Mind Extortion. I play Splitting Headache. I play Infernal Vultures. How do I win against mid-range? Well, I play Karthos and I play Cataclysm. Right? So that's kind of how I go about doing it. And after I've gone through those steps, what deck do I want to play? What's my win condition? How do I win against the 3 deck types? And then, after you win again, go to how do I win against aggro, mid-range, control. You kind of take an extra step and say, all right, so this deck, and this deck are like the top 3 decks in the meta, right? How do I go about beating those decks? What do I do when I play against those decks? And that also helps kind of figure into it. So, and then you kind of just build the deck, you tweak the numbers, you think, do I really need 4 of these? Do I really need 3 of these? Do I need 2 of these? Will 1 suffice? Do I really need skill shrines? What skill shrines do I need? And so that's basically it, guys. I'm sorry this was kind of rambling, but I've had kind of a busy day and I'm very pressed on time as it comes to today's recording. I should have more time later in the week for when that balancing patch that's advertised in the login hits, or whatever patch it is that comes to us this week. They said next week, and that was last week, so it should be this week. And I'm really hoping we get something cool out of it. But I'll definitely be around to cover it. Today is kind of a combination of me being extremely busy and this room being hot as balls. You might actually hear a fan in the background. But so I kind of just wanted to do a quick video here. Like I said, expect a video whenever that balancing patch or that new patch or whatever it is they're doing comes out. Expect a video on Friday. It'll be a gameplay video. I think I'm gonna save Spellweaver speculation videos for, about once a couple weeks or once a month or so, or whenever an idea strikes me for one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope my spastic cooking show-esque deck builder video helps you guys. More or less, just to summarize again for newer players and people who are watching this for actual advice as opposed to me just going, oh, do this, and then this, and then this. Okay, so nice and slow. What kind of deck do you want to play? Aggro, mid-range, control, or combo? Could be a combo deck. What is my win condition? Do I rush? Do I board control? Do I win in the mid-game? Do I focus on the combo? Next step, how do I win against aggro, mid-range, control. How do I win against those specific types? Then, how do I win against the top tier decks? And then, after that, your deck should be pretty well filled, and just move right on. So, how do I, what type of deck do I want to play? How do I win? You fill the cards. What is my win condition? You fill your deck with the cards that are your win condition. How do I win against aggro? You play all the, you put in all the anti-aggro cards. How do I win against mid-range? You put in the anti-mid-range cards. How do I win against control? You put in the anti-control cards. And then you fill in your shrines. What skill shrines do I want? What skill shrines do I need? And what should my balance and what do the balance and levels dictate my shrine balance should look like? And that's it, guys. That's how I go about building decks. Again, if this system doesn't work for you, I'm sure there's a system out there that does. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's gonna do it for me. If you like the video, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, the whole nine. Like I said, I think at the end of the year or so, at least within the next couple months, will be Spellweaver will hit Steam, and we'll see a huge influx of players. And so anything you do to help my channel helps support the game and helps kind of get Spellweaver out there before we go to Steam, and helps build the channel for when we do hit Steam and a lot of new players come in. But it's going to do it for me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope everyone had a real nice Labor Day weekend. If you're in the States, you had a nice 3-day weekend. But for those of you who weren't, well, I'm sure you guys probably had a 3-day weekend recently, so I hope you enjoyed that weekend too. Thank you guys so much for watching. May the cards rise to meet you, and bring good RNG to your enemies' enemies.